Yeah, eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with
John,
Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy, football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.
All right, welcome for, I don't know how that, do I sound too aggressive? Welcome to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.
No,
my name is Armando.
Like
Yeah, I'll be a little calmer. My name is Armando. You can follow me at Thunder Crespo. Follow us at Eat Sleep FF. And with me, as always, for our Monday episode recap is Clayton Cadu.
What's up? Cadu.
And where can we find you, Clayton?
Find me on Twitter at Cadu Clayton. That's at CADIEUX Clayton.
That's right. Okay, cool. So this is a really long episode because we recap every game of the week. We don't have any buys. I guess we have
Two buys.
Teams are on bye. Yeah, there isn't a lot of buys, so it's going to be a long episode. So we're just going to go ahead and kick it off right away with the Bears and the Vikings. So I guess the biggest news of this game is Kirk Cousins sucks. Should he be a starting quarterback in the NFL, Clayton?
He did throw the ball for 36 times at least. That's that's what you want to see. He's only been thrown for 10, 15 prior to this game. Yeah. He isn't very good though. He can't 27 of 36 is not very good, especially you're not throwing any touchdowns.
Yeah, it's rough. And I guess the other guy we should really talk about is Adam Thielen. I mean, Dalvin Cook looked great. Adam Thielen was 2 for 16. Not good at all. Are you panicking right now on the Vikings? I know Diggs did well finally, but overall, Thielen is just was not there today. I know it's the Bears and all, but still.
I'm wondering if the Diggs game was just basically Cousins forcing him the ball, because there was word that he did ask for a trade, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, he's been unhappy, and I think he's made it very clear. So maybe that's just hey, what about me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, though, he was targeted 7. He caught all 7 of his targets, so for over 100 yards. And I don't know. I was more concerned with Diggs. I mean, a lot of people asked me who they should start, and I said bench him.
Yeah.
But that's just because that's how the production has been all week. But this passing game does concern me with Cousins behind there, though.
Yeah, it's been rough. I mean, they're 2-2. They're still in the playoff on whatever, but yeah, they're not looking good. On the Bears side, Mitch Trubisky was seen in a sling. He went down after a big hit. Chase Daniels led them to a win. I guess, is Chase Daniel going to be on the waiver wire?
I'm definitely going to put him on there. I actually think that this team has a better chance of winning with him behind center. They actually were able to, obviously his stats don't really say too much about it. He did throw a touchdown, 195 yards, but they were moving the ball.
Yeah,
right?
They were. They're probably the best they have besides that really shitty Washington game.
Yeah, exactly, right? With Trubisky, it just seems like everything's just like a 3-and-out, right? So, it was a good game. With him on it, he'll definitely be an ad this week.
Yeah, it was good to see that. The other really good thing to see was David Montgomery got almost all the work. 21 carries. The next guy was Tariq Cohen with 5. Looks like Davis is out of the running as a handcuff or whatever he was. I think that's really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. You obviously would like to see that average up a little bit for Montgomery. 2.5 yards per carry is not the best, but he was also used.
It was a tough defense.
Yeah. Minnesota's a great run defense. But he was used in the passing game as well, which was good to see. He was targeted 5 times in that as well. Caught 3 balls.
Let's keep on moving to the Seattle-Arizona game. How was that? That was my first ad, Clayton. Was that a winner?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. No more about that. So on the Arizona side, I guess the biggest thing is Kyle Murray still people were drafting him in the middle rounds as a starting quarterback, and he's looked dreadful. We talked about this last week, and he continues to look bad. Interception, 241 yards, no passing touchdowns. What are we doing with Kyle Murray?
I had him ranked, I think, in like the top 10 this week too. I don't know. I thought this was going to be a more high-scoring game. I thought there was going to be a lot more plays ran because I mean Arizona has been running the most plays, over the last 3 weeks.
Right.
And I don't know. Murray's it's concerning, in my opinion. Yeah. I'm not going to start him if I don't have to.
Yeah, no, I mean, this was at home. They looked bad. The other thing I thought was kind of interesting is Arizona came out and Chase Edmond was the one carrying the load. He ended up with 6 carries and David Johnson up with 11, but I don't know. I think that was pretty interesting. David Johnson had a great week. He was really active in the passing game. He had 11 targets for 100 yards. But I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting to see that, Chase Edmonds kind of chipping away at David Johnson's work. Do you think that's something that we should keep track of?
Maybe keep an eye on it, but they liked him in preseason. They liked Chase Edmonds, so I'm just kind of thinking maybe they're just trying to, I don't know, try to. Maybe Johnson was struggling. I mean, Seattle does have a decent run defense. Maybe they're just trying to change things up a little bit. But like you said, his David Johnson's passing game was great.
Yeah,
or receiving game, I guess.
Yeah, he was the best receiver on the team. No one else had more than 5 targets, which is something to note. I mean, we had Christian Kirk and Keyshawn Johnson Jr. They were hitting it up early in the season, but they both had under 5 targets. On the Seattle Seahawks side, I guess the biggest thing of note is Chris Carson did not fumble the ball.
Thank God.
Right? He looked okay. 22 carries for 104 yards. Disley keeps it going, man. He is their number 2 receiver over there. DK Metcalf has lost it.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Disley now too, with them trading Nick Vannett to the Steelers earlier on in the week. He has nobody behind him. Like Luke Wilson's the next guy up there behind him, but 8 targets for Disley, 7 catches for 57 yards and another touchdown. So I think he's he's a tight end 1 moving forward.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that one. Would you have Disley ranked higher than Hooper? Just throwing some names out there. I'm just curious.
You know what? Not right now because 2 weeks in a row, Hooper's been a monster. So
yeah.
I don't think I would have him ahead of Hooper yet, but it's
all
close.
Right. Well, let me just talk about this for 1 second. So I'm going to give you some names. You tell me where to stop and where you're going to put Disley. Okay. Let's start with Kittle, Kelsey.
Okay, keep going.
Ingram, Hooper, Whaler. Who else is going to be in that? Is that where
I would say right about there is where I would slot Disley in.
Yeah, Disley. I was going to say maybe Olsen, but no, I think he's above that.
I think he's definitely above Olsen for sure.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, you tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like there's more of the tier 1 of tight ends has kind of grown dramatically. Because we have 6 really good tight ends that I do not know who to start over. Like I have, Whaler was a free agent, Disley was a free agent, you own them both. Like I don't know who to start because they're both performing so well right now.
I actually I have both of them, and I started both of them in one league, and it paid off for me today.
The other name, I guess Mark Andrews is the other guy I was going to say.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of looking at a list of all the tight ends right now too. Yeah, so like the guys ahead of him would be Kelsey, Kittle, Ertz, Andrews, Hooper, and then and Waller, and then I would slot Disley in.
I would put Disley above Andrews. I don't know. He's been up and down. I mean, he started off really hot, but he hasn't been, the shit as of recently.
Yeah, and as far as that's the tight end position though, right? Like I mean, that's why everyone streams tight ends.
Exactly. So let's move on to the Giants and the Redskins. The Giants are officially 500. Daniel Jones looked okay. He did have 2 interceptions. I guess the biggest thing about Daniel Jones that I didn't expect was his mobility. 5 carries, 33 yards. He's doing a lot of work, and that made up for the interception. So that's really nice to see.
Yeah, it was this. The Giants' defense was legit today. They really stepped up. I mean, they were going against obviously Haskins, which we'll talk about when we talk about the Redskins. But yeah, Daniel Jones looked competent, and I think he's shocks me at the beginning of the year when we were talking about Eli running the show. I don't think they would be a 500 team right now with Eli Manning behind center.
No, not at all. And I guess the other big thing of note is Wayne Gallman is a proxy of Saquon Barkley, at least against, mediocre teams. He went off for, not off, he had 63 yards, a touchdown, and he also had 55 yards and a touchdown in the receiving game. Ingram was the guy that suffered the most with that. He only had 54 yards. But, I mean, I guess you're firing up Wayne Gallman, you think he's going to be ranked in your top 24?
I think he has to, just because of the usage. And the guys that use their priority on him, because there was talk about them trying to maybe go out and sign somebody. But like I said before, like in my waiver wire article, like Gallman coming into this game before last week, before he got his 5 carries, but coming into that game, he had a 4.1 average. So anytime he had to step up, he did. And
Exactly.
it's going to be, they're going to use them just as much as maybe not just as much as Barkley, but in the same situations as they would Barkley. And
Right.
I think he proved that he could basically carry the load until Barkley does come back.
Yep, I agree. And just something to note, Hilliman is the, I guess, the handcuff to the handcuff.
Yeah.
I always like to see who's like, if Wayne Gallman doesn't show up eventually, like he's the next guy up, and he looked okay. 10 carries, 33 yards. He didn't look great. But I originally thought it was going to be Elijah Penny, but it is Hilliman, which is something to note. If you are in a deep, deep league, he's probably the guy to own. On the Redskins side,
Well, let's
Case
just
Keenum.
one thing to say real quick. So, I believe it's next week now. Do they not get Golden Tate's back? Isn't he?
Yeah, he's back. Yeah,
So, I mean, that's just going to be another weapon for Daniel Jones to throw the ball to as well. So, I think that might hurt Ingram even more.
yeah, I agree with that.
Because I think Sterling Shepard 7 for 76 today. I think he has his role, and I think Tate's going to step in there as that wide receiver 1, and then I think Ingram's going to be like the fourth option on this team now.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. His value, I mean, if you have him, I think maybe he's a sell high. If you can get someone like Whaler, I don't think Whaler's value is going to go anywhere. So that's just something you know. You could probably get Whaler and something else because Ingram is currently the number 1 tight end in the NFL, in fantasy football at least.
Yeah, he's a beast.
It's
it's Waller, by the way.
Waller. Wait, fuck. People, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm a piece of shit.
I had to listen to it again. I'm like, no, you've said that like 5 times. Whaler.
Yep,
It's
yep.
Waller.
Yeah, no, I done fucked up. So on the Redskins side, Case Keenum did get benched. Dwayne Haskins was horrendous. I guess that's the biggest note. There isn't really anything to talk about on the Redskins side. They look bad. Terry McLaurin was not active. So that's all I'll say about the Redskins, unless you want to add something else.
Just talk about Haskins real quick. He looked like a rookie. 3 picks today.
Yeah.
But you can kind of, give it a week before you can say that this kid's not really an NFL.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If they go with him,
Yeah.
he's not. I mean, clearly he's not ready.
No.
I mean, Keenum was struggling, so I don't know if they'll throw Haskins back out there next week.
Yeah, and I'm
He didn't
wondering.
go out there and light the world on fire.
I'm wondering if the coach threw him in there thinking that the Giants' defense, are beatable, and Haskins just looked gross.
It was pretty much piss poor game planning on everyone's end over there.
Holy shit, we need to talk about this Buccaneers-Rams game. My God.
I know it's going on right now, and I'm like, what the fuck? I kind of want to
Jesus.
stop this
Yeah.
podcast and watch it. Yeah, they're going off. So we'll skim through the Chargers really quick. The Chargers looked okay. Dolphins are looking better. I think they're going to get a win eventually. I mean, they're lost 30-10, so they're getting closer to the margin there. I guess the only guy that's really worth owning on the Dolphins is Kenyon Drake in PPR because he's being used in the receiving game, 5 targets. I think that's about it with the Dolphins. Anything else you want to add to that?
The only thing, what's your take on Preston Williams? That's like back-to-back weeks he's had. He's been the most targeted.
He looks good, man.
Yeah.
The Josh Rosen to Preston Williams connection is real. And definitely a dynasty league or a keeper league, he's definitely worth rostering if you have the bench for it. Yeah, I like him a lot. I don't want to bring him up too much because I don't want to be a homer because I do love the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, is he going to be in your waiver wire column?
I think he's going to make it this week. I've been trying to hold off the last 2 weeks on him, but I think he's at that point now where he's, especially with all these bye weeks that are going to be start coming up, where more than 2 teams are on bye. I think he's the perfect streamer week to week.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's gonna be. I mean, the Dolphins' schedule does ease up. I mean, they've played some incredible teams up until now. Not incredible, but I mean, Chargers, Ravens, Patriots, Cowboys. I mean, they're all playoff-bound teams that are going to make a run. So the Dolphins' schedule is going to get easier. I don't expect them to, light the world on fire. They'll get a win here and maybe there. So over on the Chargers side, Melvin Gordon was active for the game. He did not. I don't even think he played a snap. He was just there for an emergency role. There isn't too much to note, especially when you're playing the Dolphins. They just kind of Dontrell Inman was the best receiver today. I don't believe that. He's not going to be on your waiver wire, is he?
No. Okay. No, because Mike Williams was out, so hopefully he's back next week. And I just think that it was an odd game for an off game for a guy like Keenan Allen too, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Only we have one of the best corners in the game, so I mean, of course he's not going to be great.
Yeah. And actually, I did read a stat that this is the first time that the Chargers have beat the Dolphins in 8 games.
Yeah, the Dolphins and Chargers play hard for some reason. I don't really understand it. I didn't expect us to win, but I'm glad we kind of showed up. It wasn't the biggest blowout of the week, which is
exactly.
Nice. So let's move on to the Colts and the Raiders. The Raiders.
Can I stop you for 1 second? What do you do with Eckler now that Gordon is back and will be back to his normal role next week?
In my opinion, you I think you stash Eckler and try and trade him to the Gordon owner. Or you hold on to Eckler. I don't know what you do with Eckler, to be honest. I mean, if I own him, I might hold on to him because Gordon does have a tendency to get injured. We know that about him. And he hasn't really been training with the team. And I have a strong opinion about running backs who don't train with the team in the preseason. They tend to get injured throughout the season. I think Ezekiel Elliott is the exception to that rule. So I think I guess I talked myself into holding on to him. What about you?
I would do the same and just kind of base it on matchups as well. I would like to see this usage once. Give it 2-3 games. I want to see the usage that Eckler is going to get. I still think he's going to get 10 to 12 touches a game.
Right.
So I mean, I would hang on to him and see, and then possibly he could fill in. He's one of those guys that's like a perfect flex option.
He is. He's exactly what you just. Yeah, he is good as a flex if you're desperate, and especially for bye weeks coming up. He will be useful in that way at least. So let's move on to the Colts and the Raiders. Like I said, they stunned the Colts. The Raiders just got off to a really fast start, to be honest. And they just never caught up. The Colts did. So on the Colts side, Mack did leave the game with an injury. T.Y. Hilton was also not active for this game. I guess there's not really much to note. Paris Campbell looked good. Zach Pascal was a wide receiver. Who would have thought that would have, been the guy to own it with the Colts? But whatever. Anything to note on your?
Not really. Pascal, it's two straight games now that he's been productive. But I'm not buying into it. I'll still go after Paris Campbell before I go after Zach Pascal because
the targets were there for Campbell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as far as with Mac being down, I think Jordan Wilkins will be in consideration for my waiver article next week.
He does get injured a lot.
Yeah,
it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, exactly. So just kind of see. I don't know what actually I didn't even know he did get injured.
Yeah, I don't know the severity, but he definitely did not finish that game. Just to note this, J.J. did visit the Colts this preseason. And I think that's the only visit he made before they signed Spencer Ware. J.J. is now healthy and ready to play. So if the Mac injury is serious, I would not be shocked to see him resurface here.
Well, he'll be. He has to resurface in the next couple of weeks. He has to be, with the way some of these running backs are struggling and hurt.
Yeah, exactly. So on the Raiders side, Jacobs looked fine. He's an RB2 going forward. And Whaler looked great. Waller. I guess I'm just reading it wrong, but
it's Waller.
What would it be for Whaler?
I don't know. Would that be like Wai?
Wallier?
Yeah, something like that. No, that'd be like Wallier. I don't know, man. It's Waller, not Whaler.
Fine. That's fine. Whatever. I'm going to hear about this tomorrow on the Facebook group from you guys. There's not much to note. The Oakland Raiders just got lucky, in my opinion. I don't know if you want to add anything more to that. They're not a good team. They're not going to make the playoffs.
No. It was interesting to say Terrell Williams is their I think he's their number 2 option behind Waller for sure.
Yep, I agree with that. So let's move on to the Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans. Somehow, Kyle Allen defeated the Houston Texans to take the Panthers to 2-2. Christian McCaffrey carried that team all on his own. 10 targets, 10 receptions, 86 yards, and 93 yards. He looked amazing.
He's in consideration for, he has to be number 1 running back. If this continues, he will be...
Yeah, especially in PPR.
Yeah.
There's no one that's this good right now.
Yeah.
He will single-handedly in PPR win you a week when he plays like this.
Oh, for sure.
And you don't trade him. You can't do any, there's nothing that will... You can't get value back for what he's doing right now in the NFL. Again, this is another week that DJ Moore has outplayed Curtis Samuel. Right now he's 4-0. I think there was a lot of people were picking Curtis Samuel over DJ Moore, but somehow he continues to be just as good as Curtis Samuel. Especially with less targets, which is nice to see. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on more on the Samuel side as well, but yeah, like you said, that's week to week that he's putting up more yardage at least.
Yeah.
So just wait and see. This is what you're going to see every week. I think you're just going to see all these receivers get targeted and from Allen, and just you never know who's going to be the guy. Oh yeah, it's very ugly.
I mean, the Texans defense is not good against the pass, and Kyle Allen looked okay, I guess, but I mean, you expected more. Cam Newton, you would have expected a lot more from him. So on the Texans side, I guess the biggest thing I want to say is, are you worried about DeAndre Hopkins?
I'm worried about this team in general. This is my team, right? You're a Dolphins fan, I'm a Texans fan. How about give Watson some help? This O-line is horrendous. Six sacks again today. I mean, his yardage, 160 yards and no touchdowns, which is odd of him. You know what I mean? He was under pressure all day. And, Hopkins 5 for 41. That's it. I'm not sure what's happening with this team. I don't know if it's a product of maybe Watson not being 100%. He was limping a few times in this game. So, I'm not sure. Hopkins needs to find ways to get open. He's the best, in my opinion, the best receiver in the NFL, and he's just not doing it for me right now.
No, he's not. It's not pretty at all. It's kind of weird. You see, I'm watching the game, and Tunsil's getting flagged a lot over there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's comfortable over there at all yet.
Yeah, it's going to take time, but you got to get that figured out soon. Yeah.
So let's talk about the Chiefs and the Lions. Somehow, I'm shocked the Lions stayed in this game, and they could have won it very easily. But Mahomes had his first off day of his career. He didn't get a touchdown on his own, but LaShawn McCoy and Darrell Williams looked good together. They both got 3 touchdowns together. There isn't really much to note. It was a bad day for Denard Robinson, which you could expect. They're boom and bust, and Hardman. So, Watkins looked fine.
I threw down in our chat. I was is Hardman droppable? And John stepped up and was like, nope. Definitely. It's just one of those odd games, and it definitely was. Outside of Kelsey, that's regular production you see, but nobody else really stepped up at all.
No. They won the game, but let's just thank Kelsey for that one, because he looked good. Everyone else was just mediocre at best. Over on the Lions side, Kenny Golladay and Kerryon Johnson looked fantastic.
Galladay's legit. Should have had 3 touchdowns. That one catch that he did have that he didn't cut. Well, came down with it, but stepped out of bounds. It was a sweet catch.
I was getting worried about Kenny Golladay up until this game. I guess I'm still kind of worried about him, but finally he put together a good game, because he's looked kind of rough. I think he's been a wide receiver 3 up until now. So I'm glad to see he finally got it together, and maybe he can keep this going. But he wasn't looking great up until this week.
Yeah, and carry on his kind of his breakout game kind of thing. 26 rushes for 125. Now these guys, the Lions are on bye next week, so if there is any health concerns, at least they got a week off now to get everybody fixed, especially Hawkinson.
That injury. He's not like that injury looked brutal.
Yeah. I was shocked. I don't even know how he even got up.
Yeah, I see a tweet like at least he's moving his fingers or something like that. It's like Jesus Christ. So let's move on to the Browns and the Ravens. I guess this is kind of another shocker. The Browns demolished the Ravens
because they look good, and it wouldn't surprise me if it came out that Mayfield called the plays in this one. Just by looking at how much he used Landry, like because he's comfortable with Landry, right? Like they played great together last year, and you could just tell the comfort level between Mayfield and Landry compared to a guy like Odell Beckham, and I imagine Odell Beckham's just livid right now.
Maybe he's not a team player, that's for sure.
Definitely not. So, and then Nick Chubb went off for 165 yards and 3 touchdowns today as well. So that was huge for him.
Did not expect that.
No, neither did I, but I'm very happy because I have him in our Dynasty League.
Yeah. He definitely put it together for you this week. So moving on down, Ricky Seals Jr. filled in very well for Njoku. Like, I don't know if he's worth the waiver wire ad, but he only had 3 targets, but it was for 82 yards and a touchdown. I mean, I think it's important that you say that. Like, I think Njoku is not a good NFL football player.
No, and Seals Jones has been good, but it's a product of just being on shitty teams, right? Like he was with Arians in Arizona. Remember that? And he barely used. Yep. I mean, he was like a boomer bust guy too, right? Touchdown dependent tight end. But at the same time, I'll look at it for sure. I don't know what his usage was last week. I don't think, if any.
Right.
So, I mean, last week he was only targeted. He had 1 reception for 14 yards. So, I might want to just sit tight maybe for one more week and just see moving forward.
Right. I mean, if you're desperate, like it's a dart throw. It's just nice to see that he is like, performing at that high level, which we haven't seen in a while. So I guess Odell Beckham didn't do jack shit. 7 targets, 20 yards with 2 catches. I personally, I had a conversation with John directly. He has Odell Beckham ahead of Mike Evans. I think this week it's kind of showing that it's Mike Evans over Odell Beckham. Like, is he borderline wide receiver too going forward? Like, he's had 1 good game and not much besides that.
Yeah, no, he's been brutal last. Well, not brutal, but Evans is by far the better receiver right now. Yeah. And I think it's something to be concerned about. I don't think you can have Odell Beckham as that for sure wide receiver 1 week to week, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm nervous if I drafted him as my number 1 wide receiver and uncomfortable. I mean, him and Hopkins are both like, what the fuck, guys? What the fuck?
Yeah. I like that segment. Or what's that segment?
What the fuck, guys? So Lamar Jackson has come back down to earth. He's still good, but he is in Patrick Mahomes level. I guess he's outperformed Patrick Mahomes this week, but he's not he's not lighting the world on fire.
No, it's not concerning. But what's concerning is the fact that why can he only play one half of football?
Yeah, right.
He did shit again in the first half, and I just made that deal with John in Dynasty, right? Lamar Jackson. I mean, I think the better end of it, but he got Mahomes from me. I got Jackson, Cooper Kupp, and Christian Kirk, right? So yeah. But every week first half does nothing, and then the second half he finally decides to, oh shit, I'm gonna throw the ball, throw some touchdowns, run some,
right?
Just keep things simple, man. Just go with what's working and just don't change anything.
Yeah, exactly. I don't disagree with you. Mark Ingram came back crashing to earth. I think he's a solid RB2 with a chance of being a big player, but this is what you should expect from him, really. I mean, the game got out of hand, I think, but 71 yards with 12 to 20 carries here and there. I think that's what you should expect from Mark Ingram. I don't think if you own Mark Ingram and someone's offering you like Kerryon Johnson and something else, you take that offer. I think Mark Ingram is just an RB2.
Yeah, I agree with that. I still think he's going to be he'll be productive, and that's what he'll pay off as like an RB2. You can't consider him as your like RB1, like you said.
Right, exactly. So with the receivers, it's kind of crazy. You look at the numbers; they're kind of deceiving. You see Brown getting 7 targets, You see Andrews getting 8 targets, but I just feel like Lamar Jackson isn't the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, so those are not, necessarily good throws and good chances that they're going to become receptions.
Yeah, it's going to be concerning. Like, you're never going to know. Like, I think you're always going to be able to start like Mark Andrews as your tight end, just like I said, because of that position. But as far as like Marquise Brown, that's something to keep an eye on moving forward. I mean,
it's back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, you saw Miles Boykin get involved in this one, but like I wouldn't add him. So it's just, I don't know. Willie Snead caught that one long touchdown, 50-yard touchdown, but like same thing. I wouldn't buy into that. I'm not chasing that. So
not at all. So let's move on to the Titans and the Falcons. The Falcons got demolished by the Titans. They had a longer time to set up for this game, and they showed up.
They suck.
Yeah, man. Jesus. Devontae Freeman, I guess, is the guy that I'm most concerned about. I guess he did play a lot in the passing game, and they were down by a lot. But Jesus Christ, 28 yards is not what you want to see from a guy you're expecting to be like an RB1-2. Like, that's not good. And he's been consistently bad, minus last week.
Yeah, he hasn't had a decent, outside of last week, he hasn't had a decent game. It's the receiving game right now is where I'm concerned with big time. Like, I mean, even with Matt Ryan throwing for almost 400 yards, Austin Hooper, whatever, granted 130, but like the usage of Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley is crazy. You would think it's still like Sarkisian calling plays down there, right? But
it's weird.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of weird to see Sanu with 12 targets.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a game. Maybe the Titans were playing that tight against Ridley and Jones, but fuck. Like,
well, the Titans D is pretty good, but you would still think you've seen Jones play a lot better corners and demolish them, right? So I'm not sure if it was just a lot of double coverage or what, but wow.
Yeah. So on the Titans side, A.J. Brown went from a donut last week to 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know if I'm starting him, but I'm definitely considering picking him up if he's available.
Yeah and no. I'm still... He was only targeted 3 times, right? So granted, he caught his two of those catches were touchdowns. But as much as this is like bothers me to say, like Corey Davis actually looked decent.
I hate Corey Davis so much. I don't even want to talk about him.
I know you do. But the thing is he did score a touchdown in this one. He was the most targeted on this team. That might be somebody I would have to see more out of A.J. Brown, I think, in order to get him on there, because you've seen Corey Davis not have the best games, but be involved week to week at least, right?
Right, exactly. No, I don't disagree. That's the problem with burners. I mean, that's what A.J. Brown is. He could and he could not do something.
I'll put him on the waiver wire, but I would never add him. But
yeah, no, I don't know if he's worth it. But I guess Mariota, 18 for 27, no interceptions, but he continues, I feel like, to struggle. I think this was more of a defensive play, but Mariota, those aren't numbers you want to see. I do see him getting benched in the future. I don't think he's going to finish as the starting quarterback of the Titans. He's not good. No,
he's terrible. This is a product of a shitty defense with the Falcons.
Yeah, exactly. So are we good to move on to the Bills and the Patriots?
Yeah, let's do it. I actually watched this game. It was awesome.
Nice. So you know that Josh Allen left with a concussion.
Yeah, bad hit, like terrible hit on him. Like he was knocked out cold, I believe.
That sucks.
Yeah, and so I mean, I had he stayed in this game, I think you would have seen the Bills undefeated right now.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Barkley threw a pretty costly interception.
That's two. I saw 2 of those where they were both it was Barkley. I can't remember. I think maybe it was Goff in this last game. Just before he throws, he gets hit, and it just goes literally straight up in the air.
Oh.
I'm kind of wondering, like, why is nobody on the Bills trying to just knock that down somehow? The guy just stands there and catches it.
Rough. It sucks.
That's what killed him in this game, though, was that one pick. So
yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that Allen threw 3 as well. So let's.
He started out very slow. Very slow.
It was a rough start for them for sure. So I guess the biggest thing to note is Frank Gore was the only guy to carry the ball the entire game. TJ Yeldon did not receive a carry. which I think is kind of crazy. Just change it up a little bit, guys. I don't know, but
Gore's the man. He's the man. Another 109 yards. He
he's
actually
a beast.
didn't he? I believe it was 15,000 yard mark. I believe.
Oh shit!
After today's game, yeah,
that's impressive.
yeah, and it was early on in the game too. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So over on the Patriots side, Brady came back down to earth. But I guess the biggest thing to know is Sonny Michel received almost all the work. He didn't do a lot with it. It was against the Bills, which is a tough defense. But it is nice to see that he got all the work. Burkhead did not do jack shit. So that's really great to see. Bolden did leave with a touchdown, so that's the shitty part. But I don't know. I think it's something big to note that, do not lose faith on Sonny Michel. I think it was just game flow that they decided to go with. There was reports that Michel was going to get all the work, pretty much. And he did.
I did hear that. But at the same time, you would think that Burkhead would have been added, you know what I mean? Or would have been used a little bit more. Like, can I add Belichick to that fuck that guy segment or whatever? Because
fuck that guy.
Yeah, it's week to week. You fucking don't know what's going on with this running game, right?
Exactly. I mean, I don't know what to do with Sonny Michel. Like, I own him, and I literally got him in almost every league because where he was falling in drafts, and now I know why he was falling that far. He was used so greatly last year, but this year it's like, what the fuck am I going to do with him? I don't know if he's worth starting moving forward, but it is noting, if this happens again next week, then I guess maybe we can put him back in the RB2 category. Right now he's just a flex going forward. But until we see this happen again.
What I think is happening, though, is they're playing when they're in games where they're close. Like, I think he's going to get the run of it, right? But when they're getting in games where blowout games, which 9 times out of 10 they're going to be, that's when you start to see guys like Burkhead. It's like they're trying to rest Michel. Yeah, that's my opinion, right? Like James White's still going to get his. We know what his role is moving forward, and I just think Sonny Michel's role is just going to be based on game flow. If it's a tight game, they're going to run him out there, and if it's a blowout game, why risk him? Let's just save him for, hopefully he can play the year out, right?
Yeah, exactly. I do not disagree with you on that one. So let's move on. I guess we'll talk about Thursday night game before we get to the Tampa Bay game. Packers lost to the Eagles. For me, the biggest thing to know is Jamal Williams got demolished in a hit, and it was a really bad concussion that he got. But Aaron Rodgers looked like Aaron Rodgers finally. I mean, 422 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 46 rushing. I'm glad he finally showed up. It's about goddamn time.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was good to see Still not sure about the run game in this one, though. They just don't have a run game. Aaron Jones isn't being used in that run game too much. He was used in the passing game, which was good.
Right.
But I still think that, Rodgers did throw 53 times, but I think what they need to do is they need to concentrate on establishing that run game. Yeah, consistently, so that people, teams don't just play, single coverage or whatever on these guys, right?
Yeah, I do not disagree with you on that one. So Devontae Adams did leave this game with a turf toe. They say it's not serious. There was whirlwind that it could be serious, but it's nice to see that it's not. He did leave with 180 yards on 10 receptions. So if it's serious, are you elevating Geronimo Allison to a wide receiver 2 territory, or what are we doing?
I think you have to out of him and MVS. I think they're going to be the ones that'll benefit most. And fuck Jimmy Graham. I dropped him before this game because I wasn't sure about him, and he goes off. Yeah. So fuck that guy.
2 donuts back to back. Fuck that. He could join that one. Fuck that.
Those guys are going to be so mad we're taking their segment from them.
Whose segment is that?
I think that's I believe Burritos and
is
Dale's. Yeah, they talk about it all the time.
Oh, I don't. Whenever it's Burrito and Dale, I do not listen. Sorry. They provide great fantasy football advice. Do not discount that. And it's not that good. All right, Sundays are better. So I guess Howard showed up in this game. I don't know if it was just because he's played the Packers so much or what, but he definitely outperformed Miles Sanders today on Thursday.
Or are they possibly maybe lining him up to trade him? You know what I mean?
Do you think that's possible?
Maybe. Because I still think they're still splitting 50-50 pretty much, right? Howard had led in carries, and he did have the 2 touchdowns. But I don't know, possibly. Like I did hear. Well, I don't know if I don't think he'd be involved in this one. But did you hear that Jalen Ramsey? There was apparently a deal on the table for like Ertz and some picks for Ramsey, but nothing ever came about it. So I don't know if that's a thing. But
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless this is how it's going to be the rest of the year is just going to be a split backfield. But I don't know. I like Sanders more. I just think it was just like a game flow thing with Howard. I think he was just rolling, and they just led with the hot hand.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that one. I was kind of, I don't know. It's nice to see that Howard's still alive, and I do not think I would not discount the idea of him being traded, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders, I think, is the most capable back there. He is a better receiver as well. So let's move on to the Buccaneers and the Rams. The best game of the week. Who would have fucking thought?
That's crazy. Or just monster amount of fantasy points in this game.
Yeah, and you know who looked good back-to-back weeks? And I'm really happy to see Ronald fucking Jones.
Oh, yeah, Jones looked good. Jameis Winston, though, starting to look like the guy Winston that we thought, yeah?
Yeah, no, it's really nice to see. I mean, they got off to a really fucking fast start. Godwin, oh my God. He had like 130 yards before the half. He kind of slowed down, but still 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know who's better. I think Evans is a better wide receiver, but I think Godwin just has that trust with Winston. I think going forward, I might have Godwin ranked higher than Evans.
Yeah, I'm in this one league with my kid and his friends, and I was struggling for a running back, and I had both Godwin and Evans. And this kid's like, yeah, which one? I'll take whatever one, and they'll give me David Montgomery. I'm like, hey, I needed a running back because I'm struggling big time. So, yeah, I give him fucking Godwin, and he goes off today. And I'm going to lose again in that league. But, yeah, no, Godwin, and he was my favorite receiver moving to start the year. And just, yeah, I don't know. It's week to week. You just don't know with those two, which guy's going to blow up.
I think they're like what Thielen and Diggs were last year. They're both borderline wide receiver ones. I think Evans has the bigger playability. It doesn't show off in this game. He did have that 62-yard reception for a touchdown, which is nice to note. But, yeah, I think Godwin's the more reliable, PPR especially, like the more reliable guy that you want to own. 14 targets, Evans 7, which is big. Are you buying into Ronald Jones? Is he an RB2? Like, can I say yes, he's an RB2 now?
19 carries today. You kind of have to, I would think. Like like that's 20 carries is what you want to see out of your RB1, like definitely RB1, RB2, too. And if that's what he's getting, and it was against a good. I mean, well, it didn't show today a good defense, but I think you got to roll with him now.
Yeah. I just want to say this. I love Ronald Jones. I have been on his train. I've traded for him. I traded Landry for Ronald Jones, and so far I feel like it's been a good trade. I had DJ Moore in that league, so I was, I'm satisfied with my wide receiver 3. So, yeah. I love this guy. So on the Rams side, the team that lost, Todd Gurley, 5 carries, 16 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Brown had the same amount of carries. He scored touchdowns, which is what matters, and he was involved in the passing game, but they were down the entire game.
Well, Goff threw 68 times today, 517 yards. Yeah, it was... I mean, yeah, when you're down as quick as the Rams did go down, there's no room to run in this game, right? And but Gurley was active in the passing game, which was a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, heavily involved, too.
Yeah.
Like, not even a little. 11 targets, 7 receptions, so that's a lot. He was there. This is what you saw last year, so it's nice to see it this year. Woods and Kupp were the guys who benefited the most. Cooks got 9 targets, but didn't do nearly as much as Woods and Kupp. I was kind of on the train where Woods, I think, was falling off the train, but he definitely showed up this week.
Oh, he was awesome today, and it took them a while to get Kupp rolling. Like, Kupp didn't get going until like the second half of the game.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Both of them had 15 targets. Like that. Yeah, that's a shit ton. And we are going to play an over-under on the Monday Night Football game. It is versus the Bengals and the Steelers. I'm going to throw a couple over-unders. Do you think Mason Rudolph throws over or under 3 touchdowns?
Under.
I kind of went low. That's not even realistic. 2 touchdowns, okay? I have him in a bunch of leagues, so that's why.
I think he'll throw 2 touchdowns, yes.
Okay, all right.
So I guess, would that be over? Like, will he? Because that's what you're asking me, right?
Yeah. I think he's going to go over 2 touchdowns.
Over 2 touchdowns. Okay, that's where I'm at.
Okay, cool. The guy who we kind of want to see get going, James Conner, do you think he's finally going to break the century mark?
Yes.
So you're
Over.
take the over
Yeah,
100
I'll
yards.
take the over on that, yeah.
Are we saying passing or rushing?
Rushing against the Bengals defense.
Yeah. And do you think John Ross catches over or under 2 passes?
I'll take the over, but I think it'll be like 3 passes.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to do squat tomorrow, but I still think he'll catch 3 balls.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Okay, this one's fun. Maybe it's not fun. I don't know. Tyler Boyd, over or under 10 targets?
Ooh. I'll go the under on that. I'll project him at like.
I'm taking the over.
You might have to. They have nobody else on this team, and if I'm only saying that Ross is only getting 3 targets, he's got to be over. So yes, take the over on that.
Okay, Joe Mixon, over or under 20 carries?
Just under. I just think game flow is going to depend on that.
You want to hear something crazy? Andy Dalton was going into this week the number 13 quarterback in fantasy football in most of the formats I'm in. Isn't that kind of crazy? He was like 0 for 12 going into half last week, and he's still the number 13 quarterback.
Zach Taylor, right? Quarterback coach.
Yeah. It's good to see that.
Yeah.
So let's do one more on Andy Dalton. Is he going to go over or under 275 yards?
I'll take the over.
I'm going to take the over on that as well. I think that's going to do it for our Sunday night games. That was actually a pretty good pace, Clayton.
We fired through that really quickly.
Yeah, that was literally 20 minutes shorter than last week. That is fucking crazy.
Yeah, that was a long show last week. But yeah, no, this is perfect.
Nice. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have a good one. Follow us at Eat Sleep FF and Clayton at what?
Cadieux Clayton at CADIEUX Clayton. And I'm still going to change that eventually.
Yeah, please do. For the Americans who can't spell like me or read like me.
Yeah. Eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with John, Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy, football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.